Hi, Ann Cornick from Paintnporcelain. I'm here to teach beginners how to get started with China painting and also to encourage those of you that have been painting for a while to paint along with us. Now, today we're going to be doing Randy Willette's pumpkin plate, and it's stunning. Let me just tell you. I have a picture of it here, and I unfortunately did not purchase the plate. But I did get the picture, and as you can see, the colors are terrific, and it's very easy to do. I tried to convince Randy to come on. So what I'm going to do then, he said, I will tell you how you can, how you can do this, and then you can share it with your group. You're going to need an 8-inch plate. You'll need a sponge of some sort. Now, this is the one Randy prefers to use. Not mine and not this dirty. I have tried to clean it, but it's a little stained, but it's clean. And he showed us how to use this his way, which is something that is totally different. And so I will show you his technique because I thought it was interesting. It wasn't something I had seen before. The other thing, if you saw the plate, I held this up a little earlier, and you see the colors on there. I think he put some red up in here. I'm just using orange. My red's fired out. I could use the carnation now that I know that it doesn't fire out, but I haven't done that. But so the colors you're going to need today are a mixing or an egg, something that won't fire out as far as a yellow, something really bright as far as a yellow. Then I have an orange. I have my South Orange from Paula White. That's my favorite. But the burnt orange that I got also works. And then you're going to need a black green and a black. Now, it can be any black. I know best black is hard to come by some places. But best black works the best. That's why they call it best black. For brushes, now this is a little bit different for me. I have never used a scroller. But when you look at Randy's fancy schmancy leaves and things in the background here, and this little thing, whatever that is, I believe he used a scroller. I think that's the only way you can kind of get that kind of detail. Let's get started, and then we'll see. Oh, the other thing I want to tell you is I'm also going to be using not only my scroller, I have another scroller here. This is a number 4. This one, I don't even know what number it is or who makes it. I think it was a craft brush that somebody got, and I just happened to find it. And then, of course, I'm using my filbert. And the reason I'm using my filbert is because it really picks up the color, the black, the best. And it has rounded edges. And so when you do the pumpkin, it rounds out those edges really nicely. So that's the reason I'm using it. I put some color markings on here to remind me what colors to use. So I put BG for black, green in 3 places. I put orange down here, and I put orange up here just to remind me, and the yellow in the middle. And the reason I did that was when I did this tinting initially, I didn't put any orange at the base. And if you look on Randy's thing, he has like the light reflecting here, and I didn't do that. So I wanted to make sure that I did that for you so that you could see it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take, oh, you also need a monster brush. This is a 3/4 inch. It doesn't matter whether you use a large brush or not, but I will tell you that it just saves time. So, if you don't have a monster brush and the biggest you have is a 10, you're going to spend a lot longer doing this than I am. Okay, so I put a little oil on my brush. I'm going to start with the middle, and I'm just going to slap on color. I'm using egg, and this is my 3/4 inch brush. And I'm just slapping the color on. Very, very simple. And then I'm going to smear it. Try to blend it. But you notice I'm not applying a lot more oil, because if you apply too much oil, you're not going to get the color you want. Now, it comes out about there. It comes out about 2/3 of the way from the middle to the edge. So I have to put a little oil on my brush, just a dab. Okay. And I'm just going to keep doing this. So I'm using this rim line where it starts to go up on the edge as my kind of end of my yellow. And I'm going to blend it. Now, you don't have to blend it well. Yay! Everybody's saying out there, all the beginners are going, yay, I don't have to blend it well. It's because you are going to be using your sponge to blend it. And so you're not really going to need to be very accurate with your blending. And I know that that's hard. We have a lot of, there, I think that's better, yes. We had a lot of shadow on here and I was trying to eliminate it. Now, there's a little yellow down below, but not much. So I'm only going to paint as far as I need to on here. Oh, I probably need to go a little further. I'm just looking at the picture here. And I don't know if you guys can see the picture, but this is the picture. And I think it comes down a little closer to the base. So I guess I'll just make it a complete circle. Now, I'm doing this all in one day because you could, I mean, how many times can you watch me do this? I did this whole process that I'm doing right now twice, and you will probably need it twice in order to get it fired. So I am cleaning my brush. I probably don't need to. Oh, I guess I do. I guess it's got other stuff in it. Here we go. Okay. And I'm going to dip it, and now I'm going into my orange. And I'm going to put the orange on here. Now, this is the bottom of my plate, and I'm putting a little orange down there because, as I told you before, I missed it the first time. And it'll be going into dark green down there, black green actually. And then I'm starting about the horizon. So the horizon would be about here. And above that, I'm doing my orange. And I'm going to blend it a little into the yellow, but I'm not going to go too far because ultimately what I'm going to do, you'll see, is I'm going to clean my brush and then I'm going to blend it, the light to the dark, so that it doesn't wreck the light. You don't want too much orange in your yellow. Okay. Come around this side. And we're going to do the same thing. And you can do hash marks back and forth. This is a hash mark where you go this way and this way. That's actually blending. But you don't need to blend this. You need to get the, see how I've got big stripes there where there's like a lump of color? You do need to get that out. Cleaning my brush. I wish Randy were here to show you this because I think he's such a great painter. He has so many tips. He's a great guy. I'm going back into my yellow now, and I'm just going to kind of blend this a little. You see how I'm doing that? I'm just going around the edge like this and sort of blending it. But it'll blend when we get the sponge. Okay. And the final color I'm putting on the bottom, let me get my dark here, here we go, is black green. And the blacker, the better. But right now I'm just going to do it in black green. So it's not a real dark green. I'm going to add black to this, you'll see on the final fire. How hard is this, you know? That's what Randy said. He said, Ann, there's nothing hard about it. Just show them how to do it. I said, okay, I will do that. His philosophy and mine are both, you know, if you get something for nothing, so what? Nobody's out anything. The more we share, the better. Now, this is Randy's secret. And you see these dots on here. That's where I wrote with the Sharpie. And the Sharpie won't come off while you're painting if you use the permanent. This is the permanent ultrafine Sharpie. But I put those on there so I could remember what colors are where. Okay, so this is how Randy uses his sponge. He puts his finger in the middle and wads it up around it. So you have a little wad. And then he grabs the edges of the wad. And that's what he's going to use for this. Now, the first time around, he does a hard pat, 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 pat. Oops, wait a minute. I forgot to tell you, you need to start with the lightest and work to the darkest. My mistake. Okay. And you go over it all with that. Okay? You pat it real heavily. Then you wad it up again the same way. And you do it very lightly. So lightly you just touch it and pick it up again. There's no pressure. I'm just relaxing my hand and going over it. Now, with the yellow, it's kind of hard to see, I know. Okay, and you get it until you like it. Now, I'm going to go into the orange next. Okay, now we're going to start again, and I'm going to put the plate over here just a little so you can see, and I'm pouncing. I'm pressing, 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 all the way around. The first time, that's what I do. Then I start very lightly, and this was his technique. So for those of you that have never done this, these sponges are makeup sponges. You can probably get them at a lot of stores. I think they even sell them online on some of the China painting channels. And I'm just going to lightly go around. You're going to need, as I said, 2. If you want it darker, you may need 3 coats of this. But it comes out really cool. Did you see up in here? Look, see how it looks gunky now? Now watch, I'll go over it with this very lightly. And it just disappears. And if you come a little into the yellow, it will automatically fade into the yellow. And I'm going to do this down here. I know I didn't pounce heavily first. I think that's to get off the excess oil, but I don't know. Okay? So this is how it looks now. It's not quite as washed out as it looks on the screen here. Let me take it down, but then we get that shadow in again. But there you can see. It's a little bit darker. It's actually darker than, it's closer to the color at the bottom here that you see on the screen all the way around. Okay. And then I'm going to make that little thing again. I'm going to keep the orange part because well, maybe I shouldn't. Let me move over, flip the other side here. I know it's orange, but it's not really orange. And I'm going to pounce, pounce, real heavy, press, 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 press. Then I'm going to start pouncing. And that's it. Now, if you want your, you might want your side on this side, I think it probably needs to come up a little higher. Let me correct that. Okay, there we go. Then you take a clean part and you go around the edge. See how my edge is all messed up there? I don't know if you can see here. Maybe here you can with the darker paint. Anyway, you're going to take this and go around the edge and make sure you get the paint off the edge. That's the final and most important step. I did the yellow, we did the orange around the outside and down here, and then I did my dark green. And then I took the sponge and I just put my finger in the center of it. This is the way that Randy uses it, so I'm trying to mimic everything he did exactly. I grab it like a little pouch and I start with the yellow and I press real heavy on it all the way around once, and then I start doing it lightly. And then I work to the orange and finally to the green. Okay, I fire this, and I fire just, I guess it's 017 for most of you, but for me it's just, I fire it. And then I'm going to put another layer on. Okay, so this is the second coat. Can you see that? Yeah, there we go, that's better. This is the second coat. And this is just the same orange put on. I put the green around the bottom, but you see I forgot to put the orange right here. And Randy has it there. So I should have probably have done that. And you can see the coloration in the eyes. He put a little green up in the corners. The yellow is down here and here. And then he put a little orange. Little orange here, green in the corners, and the rest is all yellow. Now your yellow is already on there. So what you need to do at this point is start with your colors and put your colors on there. And you're going to find that because the yellow is already on there and it's pretty dark, you're going to have to put this on there pretty dark. So I'm putting that one on. I'm using my filbert. I'm putting that one on. The bottom half of the nose needs it. And then down in here needs it. And it's kind of fiery, so I'm going to bring it up like this, up in there. Okay? And then I'm going to try to put some orange down here, but I don't know if that's really going to work. I'm using my filbert again, like I said. It's kind of a semicircle of orange. Alrighty. So that's what I've got so far. Okay, again, I'm just going to turn this around and I'm going to tap, tap. I'm just tapping to blend this a little. Taking my finger out of it so it's not quite so harsh. Okay. And then I'm going to put a little bit of green on. Yeah, you can thank Randy for this. This was his baby, and I just asked if I could steal it, and he said sure. So that was very nice. Now I'm putting the green in the corners of his mouth, because that's where Randy has it on his thing, and I want to mimic it as much as possible. In the upper corner of his eye. It doesn't matter if you go over, actually. I stopped myself because that's all going to be black, so who cares? I guess I would put it in the eye and then pull it towards the middle a little bit. And then again, I'm going to take my sponge. Oh, let me show you what I did. That's what I've done so far. I'm going to take my sponge. I'm going to gather up so I have just a little round nub there. And I'm just going to pat it just a tad to help it blend in. Now you may have to go over this twice. You know, it may not do what you want it to do on the first fire. I noticed his nose has a triangle of orange in it. So let me put the top on the triangle there. There we go. Okay, so now it's the black. Now, on his version, he put more black down at the bottom, and he told me that because I said it looks like dark green, and he said I did that first, and then I put the black over it. But I'm not going to do it right away because if I rest my hand here, it's going to be a problem. So I'm going to start with the black on the pumpkin first. Now you'll see why I like my filbert. It conforms to the edges beautifully. It's just fantastic. You can turn it sideways like this. And you can really get in there. Now, his is super black. I'm kind of afraid to put too much black on for the first fire because I have heard instances where black, like anything, if you put it on too thick, will fire off. So it might mean I have to do this twice. But it's probably worth it because it really turns out cool. So now, obviously, I'm just filling in the black. And you can turn it whatever direction you need to get it to work for you. I did kind of get in there. I didn't want to, and I did. So let me, should be out. There we go. And I'm going to And I'm going to do here, lumpy bump, and another lumpy bump. I may have to pull it towards me. And it may need 2 fires because I think I'm going to have to smooth this somewhat with the sponge. I'm trying to smooth it with the brush. I'm painting so dry, I don't think it's really helping my cause. Okay, and we're going to come over here and try to mimic. The hardest thing are these little edges around the mouth. See, it helps that I have a longer brush this time because you can see what I'm doing a little easier than you could in past times when I didn't have a longer handled brush. So I'm just following basically what's here. Okay, and then we'll go up to the top, and I'm going to do it up there. Okay, this is getting real persnickety, so let me do the flat piece up here, and then I'm going to change brushes, because... Alrighty. I'm going to go to this brush. I think it'll work better. This is a, well, it's my Jane Houston too, which I love. Love, 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 love. And I'll show you why. I'm thinking it'll work real well on here. You just turn it the direction you want to go, and you can easily get in those smaller places. Can you see what I'm doing here? Let me bring it real close so you can see. I mean, there's nothing to it. I'm just painting. I'm pulling towards myself. You always paint towards yourself if you can. I mean, there are times when it doesn't work, but okay. Alrighty, and then I just need to smooth this a little bit. So I'm coming back with my filbert to smooth it. Now Randy's is ultra smooth, so I can't help but think that he probably used his sponge really lightly on this, in any spot that he could, just to kind of... Okay, so see how it looks now? If I use the sponge on it, see how it looks then? You have to be very careful going around the edges. You don't want to mess up what you've done, but you do have to... Here we go. Let me get this a little better here. You do have to, I think if you use your sponge, and so this may need 2 coats as well. I lost the roundness of it. Hang on, let me get that back. There we go. Can you see how the lumps and bumps that I've created there are just disappearing? Very nice and smooth. So if you just touch it lightly, you really won't change too much of what's there. And then you may find that you have to go back in and maybe put a little more color in his eyes or something of that sort, which I probably will do. Let me get this. I think I want a little more orange in this eye. And a little more orange in this eye. And a little more orange in the middle. Now this outside is already dry. I had fired it, so. Okay, so now we've got this done. We've got this done. And like I said, you see the depth on here? I'm thinking 2 fires of the black, probably. So this project could actually take more fires than you thought of everything because of that. So you do have to take that into consideration. Already 2 fires on here, probably another 2 fires on here. Okay. Now, he has some little curly cues and things coming out from the top here. So see how he has that coming out? And then he has some lines in the back and things of that sort. I'm going to bring my paint really close, so just so you can see it. Okay, I'm dipping my scroller into the oil, and I'm rolling it around a little bit to get a nice fine tip on my black. And then I'm just going to go up here and do the let me just gotta get a little more paint on there. I think it's not enough oil. That paint is very dry. The black, when you use your best black, when you mix it up, I think you'll find that it's very, it dries really quick. Okay, that's my version of what he did there. And then we're just going to go and put some little things behind it. So he's got one here. And he has one here. I'm going to have to get more oil on this. I can just tell it's the oil that's the problem. Here we go. And this one has a little thing on the end of it, so we'll make it a little, there we go. Oh, now you can see it. Okay. And that's his little thing up there. And then he has another one over on this side that comes up and crosses. And I'm sure these are things he just made up. And if I could just get a little more oil on here. Oops, that's way too much oil. But I think the oil would help. I don't want it to run, but I do want it to move. And if it's not moving for you, where's my eraser? If it's too thick, oh, that's too much oil. You can always come back like this with the eraser and clean it up a little bit. And then go back and fix whatever it is you need to fix. Okay. And I'm sure that these are just background things. So down here he has some leaves. My black is really fighting me. Let me try my pointer. I am not a scroller lady, I guess. There we go. Mucho bene. Yeah, you just need to find what works for you. This works for me much better than the other did. I'm making all these little marks, and I'm going to do them over on this side too. And he's got one going this way. They don't have to be perfectly straight. And Okay, maybe one more up here. Oh, let's get that one a little better there. Okay, I think I've got all the little lines on there, so that's the lines. And now I'm going to try my scroller for these leaves because I think the leaves are scroller worthy. So he did one that went like this, and then he came out, and then he came out this way. You see how I'm doing there? And he came out this way, and maybe do one here, and another one here. And over here, we're going to do a leaf, and you can just put the leaf like this. Make it a little fatter. You see how I'm doing that there? All you want is some crazy leaves. And then maybe something back here. He has this, which is a half moon. And then he has a square side to it. And then he comes around like this. And he's got something like that there. So you can also do, it looks like there, and there. And you could probably do one here and here. And you could do one up here, 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 and here. And that's what you do, little scrolls, I think. He's kind of doing, he kind of does little circles like this. And I think we need one more over here, and we're pretty much done. Oops. And then we'll do one here. Okay. But this is what we ended up with, or I ended up with. There you go. I think you can see that. And this is Randy's. Now, his is a lot brighter than mine, and I think, as you can see from this, I think he has a lot more red in his. And this is what I did. And then on your next fire, you can go back and you can darken the black. Make sure you sign it. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I guess you should just pick up those brushes, keep painting. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed the program, and I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My Paintnporcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.